I was at the Belmont Plaza Glass Hat, appearing in the Glass Hat. It's so funny. Frank Sinatra's mother adored me. She loved what I did in my act and adored me. And she just told me every night. She was there 4 nights a week, having dinner in the Glass Hat and watching my show. She said, I'm going to bring my son in. He's going to love you. I don't know who her son is. And Frank hadn't really hit yet. I'm talking about 42, I think. Yeah, I was 16 at the Glass Hat. And I meet Dean, who was on WMCA sustaining 15 minutes every day, 5 days a week. And he was staying at the Belmont Plaza because the station owned the hotel, or the hotel owned the station, and he was able to stay there for nothing. He wasn't paid, so therefore they got to get him an accommodation where he didn't have to pay, and he was doing fine. And I met him in the coffee shop of the Belmont Plaza Hotel one day. I was sitting at the counter having a very loose egg salad sandwich, and I bite the sandwich, and most of the egg salad is now on my shirt and tie. I look around, and there's this handsome guy sitting there, hysterical. And I laughed because he laughed. I looked down, he said, lick it. So I lifted the tie, I licked it. What else do you want? Are you fixed for spit? And we met that way. And I knew the moment I looked at him that I found that big brother, I found a friend, I found someone that read me, and I was in need of someone in my life. I was alone pretty much at the time. My folks were still on the road. I wasn't married yet, so for 2 years, Dean and I are running into one another because they picked up my contract at the Glass Hat. I went in for 2 weeks and stayed 66, and I was able to put my money away. And I was making a lot of money there, $150 a week, net, with a room. And I was in heaven.
Jerry Lewis was born Jerome Joseph Levitch on March 16, 1926 in Newark, New Jersey. His father was a Vaudevillian, and his mother was a pianist for WOR. By 15, Lewis had developed a record act, miming lyrics to songs while a phonograph played off stage. To supplement his income, he worked as a soda jerk at the Paramount Theater while he honed his act. In 1943, Lewis met singer Dino Paul Crocetti. They became friends.
Sinatra opened at what was the Rio Bamba. He got sick, and they called Dean to replace him. Well, it was a great break for Dean, and he went into the Rio Bamba, substituted for Frank. I don't remember if it was 2 nights or 3 nights. Frank was out with a really bad strep throat. He did terrific, but nothing happened from that. And I was so disappointed. But you know, when people buy a ticket to see Frank Sinatra and he's not there, they tend to be a little less appreciative. And when I say he did great, I'd have been a nervous wreck. And when Dean was nervous, you would never be able to tell. And I was really disappointed nothing came from it. And then he was back on radio, and now it's been 1 year and 10 months that we've been friendly. One night, I went to Leon and Eddie's for the celebrity. They had celebrity night, Leon and Eddie's, where everyone in New York was there. It was like in a movie. They announced my name at Leon and Eddie's, and there was 4 people clapping. They heard my name, you know. It's the worst sound in show business when you just hear 3 or 4. I don't know what to do. Sonny King is emceeing Leon and Eddie. Come on, let's get him up, folks. Let's hear it. And then you heard 5 more. I was dumbfounded. So I get up. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't talk because I do a record act, and I don't know why they asked for me to come here unless they thought I had my records. I don't have them. I'm glad to be here. It's nice everyone is glad. And I ran out of air and words, and Dean jumps up on the stage. Hey, I saw you at the Belmont Plaza the other night. You were terrific. I was, yeah, and we're working together. The audience thinks it was a setup, and we did 10 minutes, and it was incredible. And it was all about, where do you get your records from? He said, from the store. What store? I don't know, but, and who carries your needles? And whatever, I have no idea what we did. It was terrific. They asked us to come back the next Sunday.
Dino Crocetti was born on June 7, 1917 in Steubenville, Ohio. He spoke only Italian until age 5, got bullied for his broken English in school, and eventually dropped out in the 10th grade. By 15, Crocetti had bootlegged liquor, worked in a steel mill, served as a croupier at a speakeasy, and was a welterweight boxer. Boxing got him, among other things, a broken nose and a scarred lip. He'd later get the nose fixed. Dino then worked as a roulette stickman at an illegal casino behind a tobacco shop and started singing with local bands, calling himself Dino Martini. By late 1940, he'd begun singing for Cleveland bandleader Sammy Watkins, who suggested he change his name to Dean Martin. In the fall of 1943, he'd begun performing in New York, but was drafted in the military during World War II. Dean served 14 months before being discharged due to a hernia. Although they were friends for more than a year, Dean and Jerry didn't officially team up until debuting at Atlantic City's 500 Club as Martin and Lewis on July 25th, 1946.
Then I go to Atlantic City. I don't see Dean now. He went to the Rio Cabana in Chicago with Buddy Lester. I go to Atlantic City, the 500 Club, and a singer called Jack Randall had a strep throat, couldn't go on, and Skinny D'Amato comes back to me and says, we got to get another act. You got any suggestions? I said, no, I don't know. You want another singer? He said, no, not another singer. I said, but wait a minute. I know a singer that's not only a singer, but I also do shtick with him. So you'll be getting two things, the singer and the guy that I'll do more than just a record act. I didn't know what I was talking about. Dean had just come back from Chicago, was in New York doing nothing, and they called him. He came to Atlantic City. The first night he goes out and does 3 songs. The orchestra was 6 pieces, fife and drum. I mean, we're talking about a small little place. Sat 200 people, the 500 Club. And Dean and I are doing this first show. He does his 3 songs, I do my 3 records, and we're off the stage. Skinny comes backstage and says, where's the funny stuff that you were gonna do with him? I said, well, you know, we have to warm up. Warm up, huh? If in the next show, which is on in an hour, you don't do something together, you both have cement shoes. I'm eating a pastrami sandwich, and I tore the bag in half, and I used a pencil, and I'm writing on this pastrami bag thoughts, thinking back to my dad. What could we do in the next show? And the stains of the pastrami are on the bag. The bag is in my safe at my bank at home. Still got that bag with the rundown of things that I'm thinking. And I'm now going to sit with him and tell him what I'm thinking. And I did. And we went out in the second show and did 2 hours and 40 minutes. I had the bag on the piano, so I'd remember what next shtick was that I told him about.
The highlight of their act included Lewis heckling Martin while he was trying to sing, which ultimately led to them chasing each other around the stage. People loved their improvisational style, and Lewis knew that Martin was his comic equal.
The first week we're in Atlantic City, I know that he's marvelous, and I know that, Jesus Christ, if I can just give him the material to bring out all of that stuff, it would be sensational. We go to have a cup of coffee after a show one night, and he orders pumpkin pie. Now picture the pumpkin pie, the wedge of pumpkin pie. I'm watching him. He takes the fork and cuts it like you do the edge of the pie, but he leaves the little piece there and sticks his fork in the largest part of the pie and sticks it up to his nose and is licking what's now dripping all over his face, and I thought I would have a hemorrhage from laughing. It was the most brilliant, most marvelous physical, because he put his napkin on his lap. He took the fork, and he's building and getting my attention. Cuts that little piece, as most people would take in their mouth, and when he stuck the fork in the large part and moved this way, I said, you know, I got lightning in a bottle here.
Martin and Lewis's success at the 500 Club led to a series of well-paying engagements along the eastern seaboard, culminating with a run at New York's Copacabana Club.
I know we've got to build on what we're doing because the lines around the 500 Club are now hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of people who have heard word to mouth about these two crazy kids that did 2 hours and 20 minutes the first night. Now there's cops and there's police officers on horses. That's what happened within 7 days. And now you can't get in there. I don't think we have what is commensurate with that. I think what we have is a little lightning in the bottle, but I was a stickler on getting things nailed and locked in place because I knew from my dad that if you did that, you could break out and always come back to what you have locked in place. So I was writing every night, every single night, and then I'd have to catch him coming off the golf course, and that would be like 4 p.m, and I'm sitting in my car waiting for him at the country club to drive him home and tell him this shtick I just wrote. We did it that night and did it the next show. And that night I'd write and we would put it in the next night. By the time we finished at the 500 Club, we had 7 hours of material and all in order, but we broke away from it. And it was, he was getting 100.5 a week. I was getting 175 because I did comedy, so I got $25 more. In less than 6 months, we were getting $6,000 a week. In the first year, we were up to $20,000 at the Capitol Theater and $30,000 at the Copa. So it happened very, very quickly. But I had never, ever seen what looked like this quiet, laid-back man put that brain into first gear on the stage.
Almost overnight, the two were the biggest smash hit in clubs across the country.